Most people shop at Loblaw without questioning how the system works. That is exactly what makes it dangerous. Behind familiar banners and weekly flyers are pricing strategies, data harvesting, market control, and quiet practices that cost shoppers far more than they realize. This video breaks down the 14 secrets Loblaw does not want you to understand, from price-fixing history to loyalty manipulation, shrinkflation, and disappearing competition. Each point shows how small weekly decisions add up to higher bills, fewer choices, and long-term dependence. If you shop there unaware, you are not saving money, only funding a system built. 14. Loblaw was caught in a 14-year price-fixing scheme on bread. This is the foundation crack most people still underestimate. Bread is not a luxury item. It is a weekly purchase, sometimes daily, for almost every household. From 2001 to 2015, Loblaw participated in a coordinated scheme with suppliers to artificially raise bread prices across Canada. This was not a short-term error or a rogue decision. It lasted 14 years. That length alone tells you intent. Loblaw admitted involvement after authorities uncovered the arrangement. They avoided criminal prosecution by cooperating, but cooperation does not refund 14 years of overcharging. Canadians collectively paid hundreds of millions more for a basic staple without knowing it was manipulated. Families on fixed incomes, students, seniors, and low-income households absorbed those costs quietly, assuming prices rose naturally. This single scandal proves something critical. Loblaw was willing to coordinate secretly over a long period on essential food pricing. That changes how every later price increase should be viewed. If a company was willing to secretly inflate bread prices for 14 years, what happened when inflation gave them perfect cover? 13. Loblaw prices rose faster than inflation while profits grew. When inflation hit, most Canadians assumed rising grocery bills were unavoidable. Supply chains, fuel costs, global disruption, all believable explanations. But financial reports tell a different story. During periods when Canadians felt squeezed hardest, Loblaw reported strong profit margins. Prices rose faster than many underlying costs. Staple items like bread, dairy, and produce saw repeated increases even when wholesale costs stabilized. Executives publicly rejected accusations of profiteering, yet earnings continued to climb. That disconnect is what triggered public anger. If costs were truly the problem, margins would have tightened. They did not. This matters because inflation became a shield. It made every price hike feel justified. Shoppers stopped questioning individual increases because everything was going up everywhere. That environment allowed pricing power to expand quietly. The result was not just higher prices, but higher acceptance of those prices. Rising prices were not the endgame. They were easier to impose because Loblaw quietly controls where most Canadians shop. 12. Loblaw quietly controls over 2,400 stores. Across Canada, many shoppers believe they have choice because store names differ. No Frills feels different from Real Canadian Superstore. Shoppers Drug Mart feels separate from Independent Grocer. But ownership tells another story. Loblaw controls or influences more than 2,400 locations under dozens of banners. In many towns, especially smaller communities, Loblaw banners are the only realistic grocery option. That removes competitive pressure entirely. Even when prices rise, there is nowhere else to go. Centralized pricing decisions ripple across banners, meaning a price increase at one store often appears everywhere under different branding. This concentration creates the illusion of competition while maintaining pricing power. Shoppers move locations but stay inside the same corporate ecosystem. Over time, independent grocers struggle to survive under Loblaw's purchasing dominance. When they disappear, choice disappears with them. Market control does not have to look aggressive to be effective. It only has to be wide and quiet. And once dependence sets in, leverage shifts permanently. With control over where you shop secured, Loblaw then turns your own data into another profit engine. 11. PC Optimum collects more value than it gives back. PC Optimum feels like savings. Points accumulate. Offers appear personalized. But behind the app is one of the most powerful data systems in Canadian retail. The program tracks purchase history, frequency, household behavior, and even pharmacy activity when linked through Shoppers Drug Mart. Rewards often require high spending thresholds to unlock modest discounts. Many users never redeem their points fully. That unused value becomes pure profit through breakage. Meanwhile, the data collected has long-term value far beyond a few dollars off groceries. The program also deepens dependency. Groceries, gas, pharmacies, and promotions become linked under one account. Leaving the ecosystem feels like losing value, even when prices are higher. That psychological lock-in is deliberate. Over time, shoppers trade privacy and flexibility for small, conditional rewards. The company gains insight, leverage, and predictability. The shopper gets points that rarely keep up with rising prices. 10. No name and President's choice. Most shoppers see no name and President's choice as money savers. Yellow packaging signals cheap. Black packaging signals quality. Both signals are engineered. These private labels are not designed to help you save. They are designed to increase Loblaw's control and margins. Private label products generate significantly higher profit margins than national brands. That is the real reason they dominate shelf space. When Loblaw owns the brand, it controls pricing, supply, packaging size, and promotion timing. There is no external benchmark. You cannot tell whether you are getting a fair deal because the comparison is removed. Shelf placement is the silent weapon. National brands are pushed higher, lower, or out of stock entirely, while private labels sit at eye level. Shoppers believe they are choosing cheaper options freely, when in reality the store has already narrowed the decision. This is not neutral retail design. It is behavioral steering. What happens if you keep shopping there? Your spending feels efficient, but it becomes increasingly valuable to Loblaw, not to you. And if you think hidden margins are bad, the next secret is worse because it quietly shrinks your food without changing prices. 9. Shrinkflation is common and hard to spot. Shrinkflation is not a rumor, it is a strategy. Packages get smaller while prices stay the same, or rise slightly. Most shoppers never notice because the design barely changes. Your brain remembers the price, not the weight. This tactic works best on items bought repeatedly: bread, cereal, snacks, frozen foods. You do not recheck grams every week. You assume continuity. A reduction of 10 or 20 grams feels insignificant once, but over months it quietly raises the price per unit. What makes this dangerous is that it bypasses resistance. Price hikes cause frustration. Shrinkflation causes none. Your grocery bill creeps up slowly, and you blame inflation or personal spending habits. Meanwhile, the company collects more per unit without changing the sticker. Private labels are especially suited to this. When the brand and retailer are the same, there is no outside comparison to catch the change. Regulators rarely intervene because the practice is legal, as long as labeling is accurate, even if misleading in practice. What happens if you keep shopping there? You pay more for less while believing nothing has changed. After shrinking products invisibly, Loblaw makes the system even harder to detect by turning fake discounts into psychological traps. 8. Sales are often price resets, not discounts. Many Loblaw sales are not real savings. They are resets. Prices rise quietly first. Then a promotion appears that brings the item back to what it used to cost. Shoppers feel relief instead of anger. The illusion works because memory is short. Promotional tags create urgency. Limited time. Stock up now. But when you compare historical pricing, many sale prices mirror older regular prices. The discount feels real because the reference point has been manipulated. This is especially effective in high inflation environments. Shoppers assume everything costs more now. They stop tracking baseline prices. When a sale appears, it feels like a gift even if it is not. This system trains behavior. Buy on promotion. Trust the tag. Stop doing the math. Over time, shoppers rely on feelings instead of unit pricing. That confusion benefits the retailer, not the consumer. What happens if you keep shopping there? You chase deals that were engineered to look generous, not to save you money. And here is the part Loblaw really does not want discussed, because the next secret explains why nothing ever truly changes. 7. Loblaw responds only under pressure. History shows a pattern. Meaningful action from Loblaw does not happen voluntarily. It follows lawsuits, investigations, boycotts, or media exposure. The bread price fixing scandal, the pricing backlash, the public anger. Each time, change comes only after damage is undeniable. Price freezes appear during moments of scrutiny. Relief programs are announced loudly. Press releases emphasize concern. Then, quietly, those measures expire. Prices resume their upward path once attention fades. Corporate messaging focuses on deflection, global factors, supply chains, complexity, rarely accountable. Without sustained pressure, there is no incentive to change pricing behavior or transparency practices. This matters because it shifts responsibility to consumers. If shoppers stop watching, stop comparing, stop pushing back, the system reverts. The burden of fairness is placed on the public, not the corporation. At this point, it becomes clear the system is not broken accidentally. What comes next reveals how deeply intentional it is. 6. Origin labeling errors undermine informed buying. Most people assume that when a product is labeled Canadian, it actually is. That assumption is risky. Loblaw and other major retailers have faced repeated complaints over produce and meat labeled as Canadian that was later revealed to be imported. These corrections rarely happen proactively. They usually occur only after media investigations, consumer complaints, or regulatory pressure force clarification. Country of origin is not a cosmetic detail. It affects pesticide standards, labor protections, and inspection regimes. Imported produce may be grown under rules that allow chemicals banned domestically. When origin labels are wrong or vague, shoppers lose the ability to make informed decisions about safety, ethics, and quality. That loss of information directly affects what ends up on your plate. These errors are often described as mistakes, but their impact is consistent. Shoppers trying to support local producers unknowingly buy imports. Families attempting to avoid certain pesticide regimes fail without realizing it. Transparency only improves when exposure happens. Until then, shoppers operate on trust rather than verified facts. And if mislabeled food undermines trust, the next secret is even crazier because the store itself is engineered to make you overspend. 5. Store layout is designed to increase spending. Grocery stores are not arranged for convenience. They are engineered for profit. Staples like milk, bread, and eggs are deliberately placed far apart, forcing shoppers to travel through multiple aisles. The longer you stay inside, the more you spend. This is not theory, it is retail science. Impulse items are positioned at choke points. End caps, checkout lanes, and aisle intersections are optimized for unplanned purchases. Even aisle width and lighting influence behavior. Every extra minute inside the store correlates with a larger basket. Efficiency is sacrificed intentionally to maximize exposure. Families enter with lists and exit with additions they never planned. Over time, this becomes normalized. You blame yourself for impulse buys without realizing the environment was designed to produce them. That erosion of control is subtle but powerful. The layout rewards spending, not speed. Seniors, parents, and tired shoppers are especially affected. When basic efficiency is removed, discipline fails quietly. You leave thinking prices are the problem, never questioning the system guiding your movement. This is not accidental design. It is deliberate behavioral engineering that extracts more money per visit without changing shelf prices. But physical manipulation is only the beginning. The next secret is even crazier, because computers decide freshness without caring who eats it. 4. Algorithmic ordering reduces freshness. Most shoppers assume produce quality depends on local staff decisions. That assumption is outdated. Inventory ordering is largely automated. Algorithms prioritize turnover efficiency, shelf life predictability, and waste reduction. Freshness is secondary. When systems prioritize consistency, variation increases. Produce may look fine but lack freshness. Bakery items may be baked earlier and held longer. The algorithm does not taste, it calculates. And when calculations replace judgment, quality becomes variable. This especially affects produce and bakery departments. Items with shorter natural lifespans are selected for durability, not nutrition or flavor. Shoppers bear the risk. If quality drops, the cost is absorbed by the consumer, not the system. Employees cannot override these systems easily. Even if they notice decline, restocking is governed centrally. The result is uneven quality that feels random but is actually systemic. You are not buying what was best that day. You are buying what best fits an efficiency model designed far from the store. And if freshness decisions happen without you, the next secret is worse, because the final cost is pushed directly onto shoppers. 3. Self-checkout shifts costs onto you. Self-checkout is marketed as convenience. In reality, it transfers labor from the company to the customer. You scan, bag, troubleshoot, and wait without compensation. Meanwhile, staffing is reduced, and service quality declines. Shrink losses at self-checkout are then used to justify increased surveillance, locked items, and price hikes. The customer performs unpaid work and is treated as a risk. Fewer staffed lanes mean longer waits for those who need help, especially seniors and disabled shoppers. Labor savings do not translate into lower prices. They translate into higher margins. The burden shifts quietly, while the narrative celebrates efficiency. When shoppers accept this model, they normalize paying more while doing more work. That is not progress. It is cost shifting disguised as innovation. Convenience is not free, it is expensive, and you are the one paying. What comes next ties everything together, revealing how these tactics reinforce dependence rather than offering any real consumer benefit. 2. Promotions. Push high-margin products. Promotions at Loblaw are not neutral, they are engineered. When you see a discount tag, it is rarely attached to the product that saves you the most money. It is attached to the product that saves Loblaw the most effort while earning the highest margin. Deals consistently favor Loblaw-owned brands or items with inflated profit buffers. That is not coincidence. That is strategy. High-margin items receive the best shelf placement, the boldest signage, and the most frequent rotation in flyers. True value items, especially national brands with lower margins or aggressive wholesale pricing, receive far less visibility. You might assume the cheapest option will be highlighted. Instead, the most profitable option is. Over time, this subtly reshapes buying behavior. Shoppers stop comparing prices. They respond to color, placement, and repetition. Discounts feel like savings, but the basket total rarely drops. Instead, product mix changes. You buy more of what benefits the retailer most while believing you made smart choices. This is not about individual deception. It is systemic guidance. Shopping decisions are nudged, not forced. The result is predictable. Profit is optimized. Consumer benefit is secondary. When promotions stop being informational and start being directional, the shopper loses agency without noticing. You are not being offered the best deal. You are being offered the most profitable one dressed as value. If manipulated promotions are unsettling, the next secret is even crazier because it explains why smaller grocers are disappearing entirely. 1. Loblaw's market power weakens. Small grocers. Loblaw's market power does not end at the checkout line. It reshapes the entire food landscape in Canada. When one corporation controls buying at massive scale, pricing stops being a competition and becomes a gatekeeping function. Suppliers negotiate with Loblaw first because volume decides survival. Smaller grocers are left paying higher wholesale prices for the same goods, even before rent, labor, or utilities are factored in. That disadvantage is structural, not managerial. Once that imbalance sets in, the damage compounds. Independent stores cannot match prices that are subsidized by national volume deals. Customers follow price, not intention. Traffic declines, margins shrink, inventory variety disappears. Eventually, the store closes. What replaces it is not diversity, but another banner tied to the same corporate owner. Choice appears to exist, yet decision power remains centralized. This is how consolidation hides in plain sight. A neighborhood may seem served by multiple grocery options, but pricing decisions trace back to the same parent company. Flyers differ. Logos change, the leverage does not. That illusion of competition removes pressure to innovate, improve sourcing, or reduce prices meaningfully. When the same company controls the shelf, it controls which products survive. Local grocers historically served as stabilizers. They sourced regionally, adapted to community needs, and responded quickly to price changes. Their presence forced large chains to stay competitive. As they vanish, that pressure evaporates. Prices do not fall, they flatten upward. Specialty products disappear. Regional producers lose shelf access. Food culture narrows into whatever scales most efficiently. This pattern is observable. Towns with fewer independent grocers consistently show higher average food prices and fewer dietary options. Studies on retail concentration repeatedly link consolidation to reduced consumer welfare. When access to food is centralized, correction mechanisms weaken. Customers cannot vote with their wallets if every wallet leads to the same owner. The most dangerous consequence is dependency. Once alternatives disappear, loyalty stops being a choice. It becomes mandatory. Shoppers are no longer deciding where to buy food, only which branch of the same system to use. At that point, pricing power no longer needs justification. Transparency becomes optional. Trust no longer needs to be earned because exit routes are gone. This is the final stage of dominance. The system reinforces itself. Suppliers comply because there is nowhere else to sell at scale. Consumers comply because there is nowhere else to shop conveniently. Regulators intervene only after harm becomes visible, long after the structure has hardened. When competition disappears, every secret discussed before this becomes permanent policy. Price fixing stops being an anomaly. Shrinkflation becomes routine. Data extraction intensifies. Transparency erodes further. The market no longer corrects itself because the market no longer exists in any meaningful sense. That is the cost of unchecked market power. Not just higher prices today, but fewer choices tomorrow. Not just inconvenience, but loss of agency. And once that threshold is crossed, no loyalty program, no rebranding, and no apology is required. Control has already been secured. Before we proceed further, subscribe, like and comment why you like this video for a chance to win a new Apple MacBook.